Vale, pues lo dicho, chavales. Vamos a empezar ya así a saco, A saco. Iniciamos partida. Buah, echo de menos la voz del narrador, tío. Del Stanley. Voy a subirle un poco la voz, tío, aquí. Ya veréis
This is
que...
the story of a man named Stanley.
Hay que
Stanley
subir o
worked
bajar
for a
volumen,
company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them. And
Tío, el narrador es increíble,
this is
tío.
what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived.
Aquí está la movida, tío. La movida de todo el juego.
No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Vale. Bueno, chavales. Somos Stanley. Vamos a obedecer, ¿vale? Me acuerdo de un final que era simplemente quedándote aquí. Pero no vamos a hacerlo ahora. Vale. Buah. El movimiento es más fluido, tío. Vamos como más rápido, me parece. Antes creo que no éramos tan rápidos. Pues nada, nos hemos levantado.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Missed the memo. ¿Nos escapamos o qué? No, no era por ahí, creo. De ese final también me acuerdo. Vale. Hola. Tío, es que ojalá no haber jugado el primero, tío. Ojalá no haberme jugado el primero, porque este juego es increíble. Este juego es puto increíble. Eso creo que para otra cosa, me parece. La verdad es que sí queda mal. Si no sabes de qué va, este juego da mal rollo, Si no sabes puto nada de qué va.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Vale, vamos a obedecer, ¿vale? A ver, yo ya sé que no es de miedo, pero sí que daría mal miedo. O sea, mal rollo, mal miedo. Vamos a obedecer. Jova, porque hay algunos que... Hay un par de ellos que te dejan marcados, obviamente. El de escapar, tío, ese es mítico. Pero el del resto no me acuerdo de puto nada.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
How to solve a dispute with a coworker. Let it ball up inside... ¡Eh! Hostia, qué susto. Hostia. Pensaba que la planta era una persona, tío. Me rayé durante medio segundo. Aquí también había un final, pero no me acuerdo ni cómo era.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Vale, sí, aquí tienes que quedarte aquí metido, me parece. Y desesperarlo. ¿Jag o Jag?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Vale. Primero vamos a ir obedeciendo. Luego ya haremos otras movidas. Vale. I have the feeling money is for stealing, but not yours, of course. So that's a lovely purse. Lávate las manos ahí. Hostia, se cerró sola, tío, su puta madre. Aquí también había una trama para... Me acuerdo. Ahora que veo esto me acuerdo. Para volver para atrás luego o algo así.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Es que el narrador es increíble. ¿Qué me dijo? 2, 8, 4, 5 era. Ahí ya no me acuerdo.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
No hay que rolear, no lo podía saber. Ya, pero... El pavo... El narrador nos lo dice... El narrador está intentando llevar a un sitio, está claro. O sea, es un poco la interpretación. Aunque Stanley no lo puede saber. Y es como que hay que hacerle caso al narrador. Pero bueno. Ahí hay habría una bifurcación entre saberlo o no saberlo. Vale, vamos para abajo. El narrador es el ratoncito Pérez, tío. Wow.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Aquí es cuando se empieza a volver farruco, tío. El Stanley, tío. Quiero respuestas, jefe.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Chloe, aquí es donde tú te acojonaste, me acuerdo. Es para escapar. No, vamos a ser obedientes. Sí. No, pero Chloe, ¿no te habías acojonado y no fuiste por escape y viniste por aquí? No me acuerdo. No me acuerdo qué habías hecho. Vamos a ir primero a Mind Control Facility. Pa.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Vamos a descubrirlo. Quiero respuestas. Jefe, respuestas. Cámaras. Enciéndete.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed.
File,
Each
104 es
bore the
file,
number of an
ponía.
employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
La 104 es Fire. Y la 601 también. Eso no sé si estaba antes. Buah. Es que imaginaos esto, una empresa de verdad, tío. ¿Te imaginas?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't
Claro.
be true.
Aquí Stanley está
Had Stanley
flipando,
really
tío.
been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
La cruda realidad, amigo, Stanley.
But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible
Ahí está
power
Stanley.
over
Échale
another
un par de
human
huevos.
life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Hay que ir por ahí. Yo ahora me estoy acordando. Luego aquí había que venir y darle como unos botones, me parece, en orden. Eso me quiere sonar. Aquí puedo entrar, ¿no? Mind Control Status Offline. Vale. Vamos a venir aquí. Lo bueno es que este juego no tienes que correr, ya te corre solo. Está poniendo nervioso que vayas tan feliz jugándolo, cuando a mí me ponía súper tensa. A ver, porque esto más o menos... O sea, sé de qué palo va el juego, ¿sabes? Pero estoy súper expectante por los nuevos finales, porque sé que hay muchos nuevos.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Voy a darle a un.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself?
Sí,
Is that
¿qué
what
pasa?
you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system.
Oof.
In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire
Me encanta cómo te lo dice super
How long
chill.
until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes.
Dios.
Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley?
Hijo de
It's your
puta.
time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated?
Hijo de
All
puta.
right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with
Me
it.
funa, tío.
I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing
¿Dónde
right
está el
now?
3?
Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen
Es
to
un
screen,
cabrón, tío.
clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
Es un puto, tío.
You're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble.
Yo no me acuerdo, Chloe. No me acuerdo si era para algo o no. Me suena que sí.
This world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces.
Yo pensaba que estoy dando orden.
Or will you let it go peacefully?
Pero creo que no servían para nada. O a lo mejor sí.
Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Funaos. Vale, esto creo que era un final. A ver. O ahora te mandaban a otro sitio. Vale, esto era un final. Vale, vamos a hacer otro. Si este lo digo. Había que poner algo de la pared, una combinación de números de la pared o algo así. ¿O no? Es que me acuerdo que había que hacer algo, pero no me acuerdo exactamente qué era. Sé que era una combinación, pero no recuerdo cuál era.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Ah, vale, en el original no hay forma de salir y en este se puede, ¿no? Vale, pues si tengo alguna forma de averiguarlo con cosas del juego, prefiero averiguarlo. Esto podríamos hacerlo en otra ocasión. Vale, vamos a desobedecerle ahora. Ah, vale, vale, que no tiene nada nuevo, vale, vale. Entonces debe ser así solo. Vamos a full desobedecer ahora, ¿vale? Voy a hacer full todo lo contrario a lo que me dice. Todo lo contrario.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Vamos a desobedecerle a saco, a este hijo de puta. Voy a desobedecerle.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
La observo, la observo.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Sí, really worth it. Bonitos cuadros, bonitos sofás.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Está rajando de mí a saco el cabrón. Mira qué cuadros más bonitos. A ver, ¿qué bebidas hay?
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
¿Qué me quiere decir el juego? Me está llevando tontos a la cara, tío. ¿Aquí hay algo? First that. Bueno, habrá que avanzar, supongo, ¿no? Vamos a avanzar.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Vale. La primera puerta a la izquierda. Pues no, amigo, no. Nos vamos al puto baño. Claro, esto no es un baño.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Vale. Ah, esta parte había como una grúa o algo así. Me estoy acordando ahora al ver esto. ¡Wow! El unpacking, Chloe. Ya, observándola le estaba haciendo caso. Do not jump. Creo que es un final tirándote. Me suena que te podías matar.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone
Sí, esto no era así.
difficult,
Esto a mí no me
but
suena
the
que fuera
fact
así.
is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
No me amenaces.
This is it,
Bro.
Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Uf. De esto ya sí que no me acuerdo de nada, tío. De nada, ¿eh? ¿Hola? El juego original debe tener unos 20 y algo. Este creo que tiene 42 o así. Busqué el otro día, creo que tenía 40 y pocos. El original creo que tiene 20 y algo. ¡Oh! ¡Qué susto, tío!
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
No es de miedo. Yo me asusto igualmente, tío. Con los cascos me asusto. No voy a pillar el teléfono, no le voy a hacer caso. No voy a pillar el puto teléfono. Que suene todo lo que quieras.
As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but
No
with
quise
hope.
pillarlo, tío.
Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley,
Ah,
did
claro,
you just
exacto.
unplug the phone?
Sí.
No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly. I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe
Pasa,
it.
bro.
How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person.
Nos pilló, tío.
I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Dale, bro.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice.
Dale,
He could
Rupert.
invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back
Ah, no
sack and
tenía
crack."
subtítulos. No me acordaba de eso. Practice. Claro, yo tengo que practicar, ¿no?
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do
8
you make
decisiones al
more
día.
than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the
Vale,
material
vamos a
covered
ver.
in this video.
Vamos a ver ahora la prueba.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way,
Vale.
please.
No quiero ir, tío. Es que me quiere funar, tío. El pavo ahora me quiere funar. Joder, bugueó toda la puta habitación, tío. Me metió esto. ¿Puedo subir? ¡Wow! ¡Wow! A ver. Nada. ¿Podré subir por aquí o hacer algo? No creo que por aquí se pueda hacer nada. Pero sería increíble, tío. Vale. Pues nada. A tomar por culo. Y bien.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
No, de hecho creo que ahora no puedes saltar, me parece. Ah, bueno, por aquí sí. Sé que eso es un final. De eso sí que me acuerdo. Matándote. Te acabas puto matando. ¿Y si me mato, tío? No, si quiero seguir jugando. Hay que volver a esta habitación.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
Mentiroso. Ah.
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Voy a desobedecerle. Jeje. Siento, bro.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction.
Me da un escalofrío, ¿eh? Que me dio un escalofrío al ver esto, tío. No, no te deja, tío. Wow. A ver. Quiero clipear. No, no me deja. No, hay que obedecer, tíos. Hay que obedecer. Pero ahora le voy a seguir desobedeciendo, ¿eh?
It's ruined. I can't believe after everything we talked about that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that?
Ya la
what did you
jodimos,
think was
tío.
so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever. Reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I...
Le hemos jodido la experiencia, tío.
I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
Venga, esfuérzate. ¡Ah! ¡Bro! ¿Hola? ¡Coño! ¿Qué es esto, tío?
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are.
No es de miedo, tío.
Destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley?
Tío, qué mal rollo esta
He
parte.
knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make... behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Esto va a puto implosionar, tío. Esto va a puto implosionar.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Creo que este final está en el otro juego. Creo que esto puto implosiona,
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
Esto va a explotar, tío.
Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means
Esto es un puto bucle, tío.
And always putting the story first.
Es un puto
I'm
bucle.
quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All
Vamos a
right.
tocarle los huevos,
When Stanley
A mí a
came to a
cabezón
set
nadie
of
me
two
gana,
open doors, he entered the door on his left.
A mí a cabezón no me gana nadie, tío.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story
Tendré que ir a la
first.
izquierda, tío.
I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be
Sí,
fine.
iba a intentar
All
abrir
right.
hasta el final, a ver.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Pero que no me va a dejar,
Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
No. No, hay que hacerle caso,
Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first.
Pero creo que va a estar
I'm
todo
quite sure you'll
jodido,
be up to the task.
Aunque le hagamos
Just
caso,
follow
va a
my
estar
lead
todo
and you'll be
jodido.
fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Tío, me molaría este juego, pero con sustos, con jumpscares super tochos.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Pato, es que ahora estoy jugando, tío. O sea, ahora no puedo reaccionar a nada, obviamente. Voy a desobedecerle. Ah, por ahí no puedo bajar. Ah, no me deja abrir esto.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Es un temazo. Pues luego si lo mandas lo reacciono. Pero es que ahora F, tío. Ahora estoy jugando, tío. Yo creo que había una movida. ¡Eh! Esto es diferente, tío.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode.
Sabía el
He had
código.
seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out.
Tiburón
Stanley
nocturno
had been trained
115.
never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Tiburón nocturno 115.
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall. I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't
habrá que
get on with
decirlo
the
en
story.
inglés.
This
Vale.
is a crucial step.
Vale, pues dímelo. No, espera. No, voy a desobedecerle. Aún así quiero desobedecerle ahora.
Okay, fine, you're not going to do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did
fue lo
you
que
come
hice,
this way?
puto.
Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You... When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
¿Qué cojones?
Hello? Are you... Is everything okay?
Stanley.
Please, I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me?
Es un final
Can you
este.
hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me?
Es el final del Stanley que es la puto suda, tío.
We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything.
Al normal sí que jugué Shanks, pero jugué hace 8 años. Y no me acuerdo de casi puto nada.
So, you hear me? Are you there? You listening to this?
Hay cosas que literalmente no me acuerdo si son del original o son nuevas.
It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make
Este, la verdad, no me suena que este final estuviera.
That's all right.
Pobre.
I'll wait for you to decide what's
Ahora me está dando pena el narrador, tío. Ah, este estaba, vale.
time as you need.
Pobre, tío. Ahora me dio pena. Vale. Hay que hacerse luego el de quedarse ahí dentro, tío.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
No me acuerdo, me suena que no. Voy a hacer lo del ordenador, lo de los ordenadores, tío, que sé que eran para algo. Ojo. Pero creo que eran los que están de negro, tío. Oye, tú la velada de boxeo, esa parte 2, ¿la vas a ver? En principio, sí. En principio, sí. La 1 la vi y me moló mucho, tío. Estos sean estos. Creo que eran estos los que hay que apagar. Ah, no, awaiting input, eran estos. O no me acuerdo cómo era. A ver. Awaiting input. A ver, más atrás. ¿Por qué lo preguntas, River? Sé que con los ordenadores había algo. Tíos, una pregunta. ¿En este juego sigue estando el final este que te subías como una mesa y escapabas por la ventana? Sí, tío. Va a ser súper... A mí me cunde mucho más Bustamante y... contra Mr. Jagger, tío. Ah, hay que darle aquí, vale. Hay que darle aquí. Prueba. Luego lo probaré. New content. Esto no estaba. Hostia, tiene COVID tu hermana, tío. Pues...
Oh,
mucho cuidado,
new
¿eh? Contenido nuevo.
content?
Esto
What
no
does that
estaba.
mean? New
A ver.
content.
Nuevo contenido. A ver. Es literalmente nuevo contenido, tío. Vamos a ello. Ojo. A ver. Tío, qué hype. Hipe.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable
Wow.
Ultra Deluxe. As you
Joder,
may know,
tío.
The Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
¿Correcto?
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
Nice.
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
Ajá.
Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Me cunde.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Oh boy. Vamos a ello, tío. Yo también tengo ganas. ¿Esto? Papeles.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Estoy hipeadísimo, tío. Venga, vamos. ¡Bro! ¡Eh! Bro!
Is it broken? what's going on here?
No me jodas.
Should we be moving somewhere or oh, there we go.
Arriba.
All right,
Va, ya está,
finally,
ya está.
at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been
Vale.
more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content,
Vale.
Stanley.
Dámelo, 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 dámelo. The Jump Circle. ¿Qué es esto?
All right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Salto restante es 36. Vale. Pues si viene algo de ahí, ¿te imaginas? Chavales, se vienen cositas al canal, nuevo contenido, el contenido. CR7. No puedo saltar ya. Me quedo sin saltos. Logro desbloqueado, no puedes saltar. Consigue tu primer logro. No puedo saltar. Me nerfearon, tío. ¡Putos! Me encanta que el sonido de acción es como un teclado. ¡Cabrones! ¿Y ahora qué? Buah, no puedo saltar, tío. Ahora estoy jodido. Ahora va a ser pruebas de saltos.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
Por favor. ¿Te imaginas que solo está el contenido?
Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive.
A ver, la verdad es que no.
It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is
Pues
new
no.
content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could counter 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more. Very good.
Wow.
Yes, I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Vale, vamos a ver. Vale, zona de oficina, me cunde. ¿Qué pone ahí? ¿Y si vuelvo para atrás? Ah.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy
Buena
dollar.
crítica.
And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about.
Vale.
No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Cundió el nuevo contenido, tío. ¡Wow! ¡Wow! ¡Dios! Una nueva zona. ¿Qué? Hostia. El cuadro de lo que veríamos en un juego, en una run normal, tío. Vale.
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
A ver, vamos a hacerle caso. Joder. Me va a funar, tío. Alien Isolation, chavales. ¿Hola? ¿Eh? Coffee Nut. Among Us. Ay, Dios, tío. Vamos a ventear. ¡Ojo! Sus esta parte, ¿eh? Aparecemos en la médica.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
A ver. ¡Wow! ¡Qué bonito! ¡Qué guay, tío! Estamos como una iglesia. Que hay sillas, vale, pero... ¡Oh! ¡Somos libres!
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of
Breath
my
of the
life
Wild, tío.
whenever I want. Experiences
Un
like the
invernadero.
launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
The Memory Zone. Mira, el padre de Ness. Oh. Qué guay, tío.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste. Nuestro primer beso, mi primer coche. La salida de Stanley Parable en 2013. Buy on Steam. Or download the demo free. Good times. Let's begin again. Está súper detallado, la verdad, tío. Las cosas como son. A trip down memory lane. Stanley Parable. Smile because it happened. Alpha test. The Stanley Parable demonstration. Unachievable. It is impossible to get this achievement. Qué mítico. Goats I don't play for 5 years. Dios, es verdad. Yo si ahora hablo el Stanley, en teoría que consigo este logro. El de este logro es de los más míticos de Steam, tío. Este logro es súper famoso. No me acordaba que era del Stanley, es verdad. No los vi. La verdad no los vi. Supongo que los veré antes de volver a jugarlo. Que lo volvemos a jugar en Steam. Los veré entonces, los veré. Ajá. ¡Ah! Ese era un final, es verdad, tío. Del Stanley Funao. Me acuerdo. Inicialmente eran 10 años. Me cago en la puta, chaval. Wow. Oh, pobre. ¿Cojones?
Je suis dans la
And over here is
Chloe
narrative
Frances.
reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created.
Oh, mira.
It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Es enorme la casa, tío. The tasteful, nostalgic, it was good. Las puertas, tío. Buah. Mítico, tío. Person of the year. Cojones, tío. ¿Puedo bajar? Memory Zone Maintenance. No puedo ir por aquí. Buah, ser una putada, tío. Lo de esperar y que te abran el juego, tío. Aquí era como una edición coleccionista o algo así. Joder. Susto, tío.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Tío, esto es un mensaje muy chulo, ¿eh? Porque claro, el juego era la hostia, el juego tenía buenas críticas y la gente fue súper pesada, tío, de en plan de, tío, un nuevo Stanley, nuevo contenido, por favor, por favor, por favor, ¿sabes? Pero es que el juego ya era perfecto, tío. El juego no necesitaba nada más. Y es lo que nos está ahora intentando decir, ¿sabes? Y todo porque los fans lo querían, ¿sabes? De forma desesperada.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Hostia, ¿qué me dices, tío? No me jodas. ¡Oh! Tío, está volviendo todo otro color. Ay, Dios, tío. Antes me dio un susto, ¿eh? Antes te juro que me dio un puto susto. ¿Y esto, tío?
Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor.
¡Hostia!
I haven't looked
Todo
at these in
reviews.
years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here.
Wow.
Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Steam Reviews. Ay, Dios, chaval. Su puta madre.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining.
Dios.
Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Tío, ¿sabes qué molaría mucho? Que el juego si tú pusiste una reseña negativa en Steam de Stanley, molaría que el juego te la pusiera aquí, la tuya, ¿sabes? Sería puto increíble eso. Joder, y ahora llueve, tío, para hacerlo más épico, ¿sabes? Aún hay más, tío. Steam Reviews. Igual lo hace, a ver, no lo sé. Molaría mucho, la verdad. Guau, hay más aquí. Exposed, chaval. Pero si la reseña negativa la ves del revés, es positiva. ¡Eh! Sacando hostias aquí, tío. Wow, esta es positiva.
Okay, let's see what this one says.
A ver.
While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to.
Claro, tío, este final está siendo muy guay, ¿eh?
Unimpeachable track record.
Te va enseñando como la parte buena
like a failure. Like
de decir a esa gente.
Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Claro, es que igual te está haciendo ver lo que estuvo sintiendo el pavo, ¿sabes? En plan de primero todo era maravilloso, flores, campo, árboles, sol, ¿sabes? Todo reseñas buenas y tal. Y ahora esto es como la parte, ¿sabes? Más negativa de ese proceso, tío, ¿sabes? Y lo escenifica muy bien, tío, con lluvia y tal, ¿sabes? Vale, calma después de la tormenta. Wow. Reseña negativa. Suicidarse ahora ahí, tío.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have
Ya,
to stop doing
ya, Chloe,
anything
eso sí.
so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button?
Cojones.
Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Botón de omitir, tío.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you with just
Puto amo,
a push of
tío.
the button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me
Gracias,
rambling
tío.
on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people, and if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time, everything all at once, so, now you see, blah, 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 blah. We've eaten too much, and it can't be just yet, no, until...
Cállate.
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you...
Tío, me estás puto rayando.
Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place.
Ya, yo tampoco lo sé.
Become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work...
¡Cállate!
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe
¿Qué?
30, 45 minutes. It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there
¡Es verdad! ¡Y la puerta!
into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one
Tío.
here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a
es verdad,
door
el
of
reloj.
some sort or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere?
Vale,
A
son
port hole? A sufficiently large crack
las
in the
9:10,
wall? I'll
¿no?
take any of these. All I want is for us to move on.
Cállate.
Stanley, please don't push the
Hostia.
button again. It's been 12 hours.
12
You've
horas.
just been frozen there.
Mentira,
I don't know why
12
the
no.
skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls.
¿No vi bien la hora
1,000
antes?
times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen.
Ah, vale,
I
vale,
have
vale.
no
Es que lo
idea
estaba
how
viendo
long
mal.
I'll be made to sit here.
Sí, sí,
And
es
more
verdad.
than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again.
Es que estaba viendo que la flechita de la izquierda, la pequeña, que apuntaba para la derecha, pero no, está apuntado para la izquierda. O al revés.
No matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking and thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews.
Cállate.
Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh my goodness.
¿Cuánto
I
pasó?
have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week.
¿Qué dices?
2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time, just sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right?
Hola, Kai, ¿qué
Me
tal?
talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as
Tío, no
always?
puedo pasar esto.
Doesn't that feel like what we've
Se va a ir a la
already
mierda
done?
todo.
Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not...
Pero si hago así... Ah, mira, sí puedo pararlo. Vale, un segundo, tíos. Lo primero, Erdal. Estaba esperando a ver si paraba un poco el juego, pero no. Erdal, en serio, 1000 gracias por la sub. Diste ya una hace 2 días, otra ayer o algo así, y hoy diste otra. O sea que, tío, eres el puto god, tío. Muchísimas gracias por el support. Kai, ¿de qué va el juego? ¡Buf! No sabría explicarlo. Mira, un juego que experimenta con la narrativa del videojuego de diversas maneras. Es la mejor forma de explicarlo, tío. Es que es muy difícil de decir, tío. Te prometo que es muy difícil. No es como decir, ¿de qué va el Super Mario? Pues de ir saltando por ahí por mundos y pillar estrellas y rescatar a la princesa. No, este no. Es muy difícil. La mejor descripción es lo que dijo Erdal. Son de esos juegos que digo yo. Son de esos juegos que digo yo, que más que juegos son como experiencias, tío. O sea, es una experiencia en sí. que vas viviendo. No sabría explicarlo realmente. Es un juego que tiene una narrativa y la vas experimentando y tiene como varios tipos de finales y de opciones para ir haciendo. Voy a saltar a este chapas. Espera, a ver qué va a decir. Cállate. ¿Cuánto pasó ahora? ¿No hay luz? Ojo.
Hello, it's you. You're
Whoa.
here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us.
Ahí está,
and
gracias,
everything
Erdal, tío.
we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you
Después de un
ever sat
año.
down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing
Está en la
to
mierda
undo
ya,
the
tío.
past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All
Pero,
of
tíos,
them
yo aquí, por ejemplo, yo aquí veo que
collapsed
son
down into a single
las
instant.
5
In that
pasadas, las 5 y
instant,
5.
I could
Solo que antes...
see myself clearly, calmly, with a collective
Ah,
heart.
no, claro, porque... Joder, no lo estaba viendo. El palito este negro se extiende aquí, claro. Yo estaba viendo con el palito este negro era el pequeño,
It was
¿no?
an
Claro, entonces
impossibly
sería
rich wellspring
casi
of
la
both
una,
delight
claro.
and
Ya.
disgust.
Es que yo estaba viendo... Claro, ahora ya lo veo bien.
I was
Ahora ya lo veo
consumed.
bien.
I could do nothing but wallow in it for what
Yo es que veía como que esto de aquí, esta
felt
parte
like
de
an
aquí, ¿sabes? Era como el pequeño. Este era el grande y este era el segundero. Sí, no, la hora ya da igual, pero es que ahora me había rayado. Dije, joder, yo la hora la estaba viendo bien, tío, ¿sabes? Sí.
eternity. For what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was
voy a
unlike
reventar a
anything I
este
had
tío.
ever known. It was a space
Es un
without
chapas, no tengo
consequence,
paciencia.
without
Fuera.
action.
¿Hola? ¿Estás ahí, bro? Murió. Murió, tío. ¿Bro? Escucho algo. Yo si fuera el creador del juego pondría ahí un jumpscare justo detrás. Ay, tío, ¿y ahora qué? Yo también, tío. Me siento solo. Os juro que me siento solo ahora mismo. Bro. Murió. Acabó muriendo. Pues nada, vamos a ver el apocalipsis. Vamos a ver el apocalipsis. ¡Eh! Me está dando escalofríos ahora mismo, tío. A tomar por culo, tío.
But they didn't understand the
¿Qué?
game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition.
¿Dónde estabas, bro?
Where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he went,
Todo por
shut
la
up.
puta
It's
reseña
the
negativa
inconsistency, it's the lack of
del omitir, tío.
accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world, as though there were no consequences for a lack of...
Cállate. Otra vez funao, tío. No puedo darle. Ahora sí.
The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end.
Me está dando mal rollo, tío.
Never the end, is 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 never the end.
Cállate. Esto no se acaba, tío. No puedo darle aún. Hostia, está goteando ya eso, tío. ¡A tomar por el culo! A tomar por culo, tío. Cuando omita ahora va a estar esto inundado, 100%. Esto va a estar destruido todo. ¡Oh! Un poco de luz, tío. ¿Moscas? A ver, vamos a darle. ¡Oh! ¡Qué chulo! ¿Helechos? ¡Qué guay! Hay esperanza, tíos, hay esperanza. Tenemos alimento, tenemos plantas. Aquí se puede cultivar un poquito, tío. El ciclo de la vida, tío. Y es que estas cosas te pueden dejar pensando, tío. Puede tener más profundidad de la que parece. ¿Y si ahora hago esto? Un bosque. ¡A tomar por culo! ¡A tomar por culo, tío! ¿Y mi hierba, tío? ¿Dónde pollas está? Oh, Dios, tío. Voy a poner plantas aquí de random para que la gente piense que tiene significado filosófico y a tomar por culo después. Jack Porros. ¿Dónde está mi...? ¿Y esto? Nos quedamos sin hierba, tío. Es que estamos sin sol, sin hierba. ¿Cuánto tiempo habrá pasado ya? ¡No! ¿Qué? ¿Hola? ¡No me jodas! ¡Puto Sáhara, tío! ¿Y se doy al botón? Ya no puedo. A ver. Estamos en Marte, literalmente, tío. Bienvenidos a Murcia, tíos. Mira, espera, lo vamos a hacer bien. POV cuando llegas a Murcia. Cago en la puta, no hay nada, tío. Adiós. Buah, pues era un final ese. Pub está haciendo el Pulp Fiction. Y se das al botón, lo intenté, no me dejaba. No me dejaba.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Vamos a intentar hacer el de escapar.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Que ese me acuerdo, aunque no sé por dónde era. Igual era allí atrás, me parece. Puede ser que fuera allí atrás. Vamos a probarlo. Yo creo que era por aquí.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Aquí. Era aquí. ¿Lo dejaría para luego ese? Vale, lo dejamos para luego entonces. Os voy a hacer caso a los que jugasteis. Quiero hacer lo de los ordenadores. Que no sé dónde era. Input to receive. ¿Esto me lo va a cerrar ahora? No me acuerdo. No sé si era así. Aquí. A mí me suena que era... No me acuerdo para qué era, tío. Pero a mí me quiere sonar que era para algo. Y esto no hay que meterle... No deja, tío. Bueno, que le den por culo. A mí me suena que era para algo. ¡Oh, oh, oh! ¡Guau! ¡Guau! Es que te llama, tío. O sea, te invita a entrar, literalmente. ¿Y se lo desenchufo? Jeje. Nada.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign.
Como
Yes,
para no
I have
verlo, bro.
something very exciting to show you.
A ver. Vamos a ver. A ver qué nuevo contenido tiene ahora nuestro amigo narrador para enseñarnos. Vamos a ver. No, no podía evitarlo. O sea, era demasiado tentador. ¿Gira? No gira, es puto. New content. Ah, vale, eso es lo de antes. Vale, es lo de antes, todo esto, vale.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So
Correcto.
forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it
A ver.
one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
¿Qué dices? ¡Guau! Que le den al Deluxe, tío. Esto es el 2.
Yes,
Esto
you
sí.
see, isn't this
Esto
far
sí que me
superior
mola,
to
tío.
a measly re-release
Esto
with a
sí,
few
tío.
minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel.
Y
An
una secuela de
entirely new
verdad.
experience built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been
Exacto,
asking
tío.
for.
Exacto. Esto es lo que íbamos pidiendo, tío. Así que dámelo. Dámelo. Una coca ahí.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra
¿Sí?
Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra
¿Tiene más tirón?
Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's
Exacto.
future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Tío, la gente que no jugó el primero realmente no lo valoraría tanto, tío. O sea, me parece un must jugar primero al primero, ¿eh? Y hace años, a poder ser. Dear Back, Two Doors. La mítica, tío. Claro, esto es como si fuera un despacho de los desarrolladores y tal. Aquí van colgando las ideas, ¿sabes? New content is out. New content is in. Parte 2. Almost busted. New hotness. Dear Back. Es como el cartel de presentación, ¿sabes? Claro, es por eso. Es por eso. Si te preguntan si lo jugaste y le pones que sí, supongo que ya te saltan antes estas movidas y tal, ¿sabes? Sí, yo le dije que yo lo había jugado. Exacto, sí. Vale. Logo ideas. Ah, mira. Oh. Claro, es eso 100%. Es eso 100%. Sí, es verdad, tío. Ese de ahí, el segundo, ¿no? O el de abajo. Ah, es que el segundo también me parecía. Ese es que me parece ese. Pues ese me parece algo, tío. No sé qué me parece el segundo. Ya este sí que es muy... Es verdad, tío. Muy Resident Evil. Jugando con eso. Como el Village, ¿sabes? En plan, sí, sí. Sí, sí, visto así sí que tienes razón.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Sequels are good. Portal 2, Half-Life 2, Batman Arkham Asylum, Divinity Original Sin 2, Doom 2, Aladdin 2, Return of Jafar, Dark Souls 2. En teoría el Dark Souls 2 no, ¿no? Claro, o sea, el Dark Souls en teoría es full ironía, tío. Es que el Dark Souls, el 2, tiene malas críticas, ¿no? Comparado con el 1. Qué guapo, tío. 2. Ey. The prequel to Stanley Parable. Is the sequel to Stanley Parable. Cojones, tío. This way to the show floor. ¿Y por aquí? Quiero clipear. No puedo. New features. ¿Un autobús? Tío, tiene súper bien montado, ¿eh? Un fotocall aquí con el 2, obviamente. Expo Hall 2. ¡Oh! ¡Qué chulo!
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
A ver. Merchant, tío. Tío, está muy currado, ¿eh? Una hard case aquí. Vamos a ver. ¡Eh! ¡Stanley! A ver. Quiero verme en 4K. Quiero verme en 4K. A ver qué pone aquí. El botón que dice el nombre de la persona que está jugando. ¿Qué dices? Círculo de salto. Agujero infinito. ¿Eh? ¿Va a decir mi nombre? Ah, no, esto es parte de la pantalla, tío. Joder, no me baitéis así, tío. ¿Qué es eso que se oye? No es mi móvil, ¿no? No, esto es del juego. Esto es del juego, ¿no? Sí, joder, me está rayando, tío. Eso es tuyo, no me joder, ¿eh? ¿Cómo que es mío, tío? Esto es el puto juego. ¿Cómo va a ser mío, tío? ¿Cómo no, tío? Cojones. Tío, me estoy rayando. Epílogo.
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, yes, it will go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Vale. No, no, no. No voy a entrar ahí, ¿eh? Es un puto epílogo. Vamos a ver todo el contenido, tío. El botón que dice mi nombre, aquí.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game.
A ver.
Isn't that wonderful?
Road to the perfect button. Ah, estos son los prototipos. Too small, just right, vale. Vale, el bueno está arriba. El bueno está aquí, ¿no? ¡Oh! ¡Oh! El botón. The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Vale, vamos a ver cuál es mi nombre.
Jim.
Sorry, I should have
¿Cómo que Jim?
clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you roleplay as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this
Vale,
feature.
ahora
Just
soy
play
Jim.
along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person
Vale.
named Jim.
Me llamo
I
Jim.
want you to
Me llamo
imagine
Jim.
yourself
Vale.
living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim,
Vale.
seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Soy Jim.
Jim.
Yes, you see? What a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
Jim.
It hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Jim.
Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much Jim. I'm putting the Jim button away. Otherwise, soon
No!
you'll start to
Jim.
lose all sense of who you actually
Jim.
are.
Jim.
¡Mi botón! Dame mi botón, tío. A la mierda el botón. Hay más cosas que ver, me cunde. Hemos sido engañados. Vale, vamos a ver más cosas. Vale, el botón
I
fue
suppose I could
cundiente.
allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
Círculo de salto, sí lo habíamos visto. Pero iremos ahora por allí. No screenshots. Vale tranquilizador de Stanley Parable. Decoración de la oficina. Agujero infinito. Vamos a venir aquí primero. A ver.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game.
Ajá.
It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket.
El balde
You see,
tranquilizador.
Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket,
Vale.
the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable
Yo tengo que ponérmelo en la
will feel
cabeza.
perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that
Vale.
would be? Yes.
Dame
the
esa mierda,
bucket
venga.
is the perfect solution. Come on. give it a
Vale,
try.
perfecto. Joder. Es que es un puto cubo en la cabeza. ¿Esto qué me cojones me va a hacer, tío?
Can you feel it? the glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair.
No tengo ni que ponérmelo, tío. Es tenerlo en la mano.
And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive.
Sí,
as a
vamos,
person.
guapísimo.
The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
A ver, de momento el contenido de Stanley Parable 2 es un puto botón que dice Jim, esta puta mierda, y saltar. Bueno, saltar era New Content, no era la de Stanley Parable 2, pero me cago en la puta, tío. Pues me lo llevo.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
Pues ahora con patatas el bucket, tío. Direcciones de la oficina.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Get Well Someday. Vamos al blanco.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along.
Joder, qué
Happy
susto,
12th
tío.
birthday, step-niece.
¡Cabrón! Te dije el otro, tío. ¿Y ahora qué? Pues a tomar por culo. Se quedó atrapado este. Pues no. Decisión tomada, ya está, a tomar por culo, vamos.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision.
Exacto.
We're moving on.
Hará justo el contrario. ¡Oh! Nosotros. Free new and easy achievement. I can't believe it that simple. ¿Qué dices? It works. It just works. Un achievement rollo fácil, ¿sabes? O sea, ¿los veo ahora, dices? ¿Que me ponga a verlos? A ver, espera. Tengo 2 logros de 11. A ver. Voy a verlos. Termina el juego. Logro desbloqueado. Ignóralo. Descripción de los logros de prueba. Sustituye eso. Hora de nuevo. Sal del juego y vuelve a empezarlo. Vale. Dedicación. Juega a Stanley Parable durante todo un martes. ¿Qué dices? 8888. ¿Qué es esto? 888. Es todo 8. Haz clic en la puerta 430 5 veces. Speedrun. Completa Stanley Parable en menos de 4 minutos y 22 segundos, sin contar los tiempos de carga. Haz mundial la configuración. Configura todas las barras deslizantes del menú en todos los números disponibles. ¿Qué dices? Ve a pisar el césped. No juegues a Stanley Parable durante 10 años. ¡Hostia! Ahora son 10. Hostia, en 10 años, tío. 10 putos años. ¡Wow, tío! Su puta madre. Habrá que completar este juego, tío. Y hay capullos que ya lo tienen. Nah, eso no mola, tío. A saber, tío. A saber qué tipo de hackeo hicieron. Eso no mola, tío. Joder, eso le quita la gracia. O igual este juego salió hace 10 años. ¿Ah?
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident?
Sí.
Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement.
¿Sí?
Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
Una palanca y ya está, y te da el logro. A ver.
Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist.
Ah,
right now,
amigo.
the achievement is still fully broken.
Puto.
I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Vale. Te tomo la palabra, amigo. ¿Ya qué hago? ¿Vuelvo? Vale.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Vale. Agujero infinito. Vamos al agujero infinito, a ver. ¿Es por aquí? Wow. Falling. Distant future. Time depth. Si jugar otro juego... sí, me voy a jugar... Ahora este mes que llega, en junio, voy a jugarme Ace Attorney. Voy a jugarme el Ace Attorney. Que lo tengo ya pendiente de hace ya unos cuantos meses. Me lo juego ahora este mes que entra. Opening. Terrible. ¿Es ironía o es en plan hype? Science More, Infinity. Puf, es que el Zero Escape. El Zero Escape me lo habían canjeado, el Zero Escape. Es que me suena que no me lo canjearon. More Hole. Y Just Keeps Going. Claro, ves que el Ace Attorney sí que me lo canjearon, entonces tengo que jugarlo. No puedo meterme en otro. Sí, el Ace Attorney me lo canjeó Rodillo.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Y luego sobre todo ese juego Danga o You Turn to Die. A ver, imagino, pero bueno, también tengo ganas de jugármelo desde hace bastante tiempo. ¿Sabes? Porque siempre que hay coñas de ese juego, pues no las entiendo. Y la verdad me llama. Tío, ¿qué hago? ¿Me tiro? Ay, Dios, tío, me da miedo, ¿eh? Me voy a tirar, Me la suda. Que es lo que tenga que ser. Adiós. ¡Adiós!
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole,
sácame de aquí, puto.
you can press the teleport button to pop
vale.
up to the top, and we can continue onward.
¿Y si me dejo caer, qué?
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
Claro, en teoría es infinito, ¿no, amigo?
Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is.
Voy a desenmascararte, puto.
Infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From
Acaba
one
aquí.
perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me? Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Vale. Que no hay nada más, ¿no? Just the two of us, we can make it, we try. Un puto poema, tío. Vale, vamos.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
Ajá. Vale, vamos a ver. Puedo irme por aquí. Infinite Hole. ¿Y aquí hay algo? Aquí habíamos visto. Vale, nada. Vale. ¿Y si te tiras otra vez? A ver, vamos a probar. Total, tenemos la G.
Oh, for heaven. You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there
es
than you
verdad.
did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. I really do have so much more to show
Metí
you
otra vez.
and to talk about, and I've had enough of the hole for a lifetime. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Que lo está haciendo más corto
I'm
cada
starting
vez.
to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is.
Eh!
The shame of my lie has come to haunt me. Not only is the... How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
No me deja.
Is the, teleport button not working?
No.
You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a
Hasta
moment ago.
recién.
Try it again.
No,
Still
no va.
nothing? Well, I suppose... I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley.
¿Qué?
You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's
Bro.
a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else.
No me jodas.
Take care, Stanley.
No.
I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of it.
Bro, vuelve. A tomar por culo. Mira, ¿qué hago? Es que no puedo saltar, tío. Estoy dando la G. ¡Eh! ¿Y ahora qué? A tomar por el culo, tío. Joder. Como venga algo de ahí me muero, ¿eh? ¡Está bajando! ¿A dónde iremos, tío? Buah, es verdad, tenemos el balde este, tío. Purito ahí, tío. A ver. Joder, qué susto. Cambia tu percepción. Cambia tu realidad. ¿Y si cambiamos la percepción ahora otra vez? ¡Wow! ¡Oh, doges! ¿Qué cojones, tío? ¿Qué es esto, tío? Cambia tu ser. ¡Oh! ¿Qué cojones? Voy a quitar a los perros. O dejo a los perros. Es que quiero saber qué más hay, tío.
Stanley?
¿Eh?
Stanley? Stanley! Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole,
tío.
and I'm looking forward to all of them.
Tío, quiero salir de aquí.
Stanley, I'll be back.
Quiero salir de aquí. No quiero estar más en un agujero, perdón, tío. No me jodas. ¿Y si cambio la...? A tomar por culo. Vale. ¿Y ahora qué?
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Probé a hacer TP, pero no funcionaba. Me sacó directamente, creo. Sí, veo que hay como más cosas. Círculo de salto. Vamos al círculo de salto, a ver. Collectibles. Ah, mira. Aquí te lo marca. You are here. Jump circle. Collectibles. Salida, círculo de salto. Círculo de salto. Aquí. Es esto de aquí, ¿verdad? O sea, esto de aquí. Ah, pues no. ¿Dónde cojones es, tío? Círculo de salto. ¿Y esto de aquí qué es? Puto nada. Y ahí me lo marca por ahí. Y aquí por aquí. ¿Será aquí? Atrás, pasa de largo el mapa. A ver. Lo paso de largo. ¿Aquí? Ah, es aquí. Lo tengo 0.
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw
Sí,
the
bro, lo
jump
siento.
circle.
¿Me perdonas?
Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece, then.
No puedo saltar. Pues a tomar por el culo, tío. Nada. Pero nos quedamos sin saltar, tío. Es feísima. A ver. Collect them all. A ver.
Ah, collectibles. Now
Exacto.
it's a real video game. In the
Ahí,
Stanley
ahora estamos ya
Parable
hablando,
2,
tío. Ahora
you'll
estamos
run
hablando.
around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I
Hostia.
don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Ay, Dios, qué mal rollo esto. Vale. Ok. Jo, pues yo quiero. 1 de 6, tío. Saber dónde
God,
están
it
las
really
otras.
is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Pues nada, innovando así, tío. De buenas formas. Salida, coleccionables, círculo de salto. Sí, voy a ver si me queda algo aquí. Vale, Jump Circle está, this map. Free Achievement, eso también lo vimos. The button that says the name, vale, ya está. Merch también lo vimos. Settings World Champions. Eso supongo que sí. Pero veremos ahora. The Stanley Parable Resort Bucket, esto sí. Office Decoration. Epílogo. Sí, lo de Settings World Champions, eso. Collectibles, Infinite Hole y Exit, vale. Settings World Champions, vale, es... vale, ahí al lado... Deja ver qué es la Z un momento. Vale, el Z es la merch. Está delante del merch. Está delante del merch, que es por aquí. A ver. ¿Qué es eso de...? Espera, ¿y esto? Nada. ¿Al merch se podía entrar? No, no se puede entrar. Vale, no sé a qué se refiere exactamente. No sé si es esto de aquí. Porque por aquí ya entré, ¿no? Aquí entré. Detrás del círculo de salto. Es que en teoría es esto, tío. ¿No? 3:44. Es el marcador del... de la prueba esta del primer juego, parece. No sé qué es entonces, tío. Oh. Poned QR, tíos, con el móvil. A ver si os lo pilla. Mira carteles. Veo ahora carteles. Que alguien ponga QR a eso. Bueno, si queréis, claro. Así te lo pillas, Sanks. I saw the new content. Voy a poner más recto. Todo recto que pueda. Ahí. Así te lo pilla. Mientras bebo. Ya termina. Es la web. F. Vale, vamos a ver el mapa otra vez. StanleyParable2.com. Hostia. Sí que hicieron web. Z es el merch. Es algo de Office Decoration, sí. Y el B2 es... Stanley Parable Resort Bucket. ¿Sí? Es esto de aquí, tío. Es esto. No hay puto nada aquí. Ya está todo visto entonces, ¿no? Bueno, el epílogo me falta. El resto está todo. Ah, bueno, por aquí, a ver. Por aquí no vine. A ver esto. As mundial de la configuración. Epílogo, ok. Así vamos a ir primero por esa puerta a ver qué hay. That's new. A ver. Va, es como un atajo. Epílogo. ¿Cómo voy al epílogo? Mete la configuración a ver si te deja abrir esa puerta. Ah, vale, voy a probar. Es buena esa. A ver. Controles simplificados. Etiquetas de objetos. Datos del jugador. No. Pues ahora aquí al epílogo. Pero... Ah, espera. Es que en el epílogo estuve, pero... No puse un puto nada. ¿Y por aquí? Salida. Voy a epílogo antes de salida. Es que no había nada en epílogo, tío. O sea, no me mostraban nada. Ve a epílogo, a ver. Ahora voy desde abajo. Hola. En teoría ya está, ¿no? Ah, solo te dice que habrá uno, ok, vale. Vale. Pues así que vamos a la salida. Yo creo que está todo ya, ¿no? Vamos a la salida.
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Sí, vámonos, venga. Wow.
So, Stanley, what do you
Qué susto, tío.
Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
Wow.
I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
Dios.
Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original
Oh.
Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it.
A ver.
Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose
Veamos,
it
a
could,
ver.
but it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up. All right,
A ver.
perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Ojo, a ver. ¡Wow! ¡Qué guapada!, ¿no? A ver. Ojalá me deje jugarlo, tío.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
¡Lo puedo jugar!
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 4.
Estoy jugando un juego que no salió dentro de un propio juego, tío.
427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427.
Sí, la intro es que me ponía lo de omitir y todo.
Orders came to him
Pero la voy a
through
dejar.
monitor on his desk, telling
Oh,
him
no, a ver.
what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending,
Tío, me parece
Stanley relished
increíble,
every
tío.
moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
Ojo.
Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to
Tíos,
move
vamos a jugar
for the
Stanley Parable
longest
2,
time.
chavales. Se
But as he
viene.
came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Tío, los putos globos, tío. Déjame ver una cosa. Era esta puerta que había que tocar, ¿no?
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement?
Sí,
Click the
solo
door
por el
5
logro.
times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing
¿Cuántos vas a pedir,
effort for
cabrón?
a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks. No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this
¿Qué dices,
achievement to
tío?
have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door
¿Qué?
number 417?
¿Tendré que contarlas? ¿Y si me paso qué? Ah, que toque la puerta 417, dijo. ¿No dijo que le toque 417 veces? Ah, vale, dijo la 417. Hostia, no lo leí bien. No lo leí bien. 20 veces, vale. Solo vi el número y dije, pues para adentro. A 4:17.
Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it?
Claro, el bucket, tío. Está aquí. ¿Y si sudo de él? No, me lo voy a llevar.
Stanley picked up the bucket. Okay, great. Now, go touch the bucket on door 437 a few times.
4:37. ¿Dijo 4:37? Aquí.
Yes, now we're getting somewhere. How about door 415? Give it some bucket love.
4:15.
Now back to
Dame mi
door
logro.
437.
Joder, pesado, tío. Quiero mi puto logro.
You know, I think the copy machine needs some attention. Why don't you rub the bucket on it a bit? All right, back to room 417.
Joder,
I'm
tío.
really feeling it now. I think we're getting
I'm
somewhere.
really feeling it. 4:17 dijo, ¿verdad? ¿Dónde está? Aquí.
Okay, now bring the bucket on top of employee 419's desk.
Aquí, ¿no?
Yes, this is great. Now the bucket knows exactly what it's like to be employee 419. Now, let's introduce it to door 416.
Vale, 4:16.
We've almost got it. Now make the bucket and the copy machine touch again.
Voy, voy, voy. ¡Eh! ¿No era aquí? ¿O era más atrás? A ver, aquí.
Finish it off, Stanley. 5 touches of the bucket on door 430. Yes! We did it!
¡Vamos!
Wow! That felt
Ya me
amazing.
saltó.
You know, not all buckets will get this kind of experience. They won't all know what it's like to slam repeatedly against nearly every door in one section of an office building, or what it's like to be employee 419. Buckets may dream of an experience like this, but few can say they've truly lived it. You've given a bucket hope today. Stanley, I'm very proud of you.
Muy bien. Vale, vamos a avanzar. Wow.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
¿Mm?
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
Sí, o sea... Quiero intentar fijarme a ver si hago diferente. En plan que diga, buah, es que sí que es el Stanley 2, ¿sabes?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
¡Eh!
You found one of them. One of the
Vamos.
miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy
Perfecto.
that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of
parece
these
perfecto.
beautiful figurines.
Nice. Me faltan 2 ahora.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an
Ese PC no me
indication of
fijé.
any human life.
Toma nota,
Crushed
toma
by the
nota.
weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos.
Ahora todo
It
se
would be
centra en el
with
puto
him
bucket, tío.
always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
No es algo natural sacarlo. Me parece bien, Sans. El de los 8.
Stanley
¿Puede ser que
just
sea el de
sat
los
around
8?
twiddling his thumbs. Trying to
Voy a quedarme
input
aquí sin hacer
anything on the
nada.
device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination
Aunque
was
creo que al final te lo acaba
2845.
abriendo, ahora que me acuerdo. 4, 8, 4. Voy a abrirlo.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it the bucket knew
Pulsar
or
8
not?
muchas veces
Was
o algo
the
así.
bucket guiding him? Yes.
O pulsar
This
8
is
aquí.
certainly the
En plan
most
8, 8, 8,
logical
8, 8.
explanation.
Oh. Haces eso. 8 en el teclado. ¿En el mío o aquí? O sea, ¿en el mío IRL o en este de aquí? En ese, vale, pues ya lo haré. A ver si podrías ahora. No, ahora no. Ah, bueno, igual sí. A ver. No. No, no me deja. Aunque suene ese sonido, no. Buah, sería increíble. ¡Eh!
Another miniature Stanley
Vamos.
figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? Or
Stanley
what about
figs.
Stanlerines? Yes, I think I
Stanleycitos.
like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Perfecto. Ok.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself
Vale,
together,
Sax, dale.
if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Perfecto, todo estará bien. Mientras tengamos el bucket, todo estará bien. Vale.
Stanley and the bucket
Whoa.
walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
¿Y si me escapo con el bucket? Buah, no sé qué hacer. ¿Qué haríais vosotros, tíos? ¿Qué os apetece que hagamos? Ver si hay algo que podamos hacer con el bucket allí. Intentar escaparnos. Buah, tengo mis dudas, ¿eh? Pues que me apetece... Uf, tengo curiosidad, tío. Me da mucha curiosidad. Buah. Venga, vamos por aquí.
The lights rose on
Sí, es que a mí también me
enormous
entran
room
ganas,
packed with
tío.
television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Es que el Stanley 2 es literalmente el Stanley 1, pero con un bucket. Y te lo están vendiendo así, ¿sabes?
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
No confiaba en nadie excepto en el bucket.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived
No sé si apagarlo
in a
ahora,
really cool
tío.
way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Sobre derribar el sistema. No sé si ahora darle a off, tío. Mira, ahora voy a darle a off.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes!
Wow.
They had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support. What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door
¿Qué
stopped?
pasa?
Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
No.
An unbearable
¿Qué dices?
silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty. Until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the
toma por
facility
culo.
itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket.
¿Y ahora qué?
No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not
Pues
while
no salimos,
this building
¿eh?
has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped
pesado con
eternally
el
in darkness
bucket.
isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
A ver. ¿Ya está?
All of his co-workers were gone.
¿Y
What
mi
could it
bucket?
mean? Stanley
Estaba aquí el
decided
bucket,
to go
¿no?
to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
¡Ojo! ¡Oh, Seco! ¡Gracias, tío! Mil gracias por la raid, bro. ¿Qué tal? Estoy disfrutando como un puto enano, tío. Bienvenidos a todos, chicos. Estamos jugando Stanley Parable. ¿Qué tal estáis? Muchas gracias, Johan, por el follow, tío.
Stanley lifted the bucket
Vamos
into
con el
his
balde.
arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Gracias a Aleph y a Lino. Gracias, chicos. Jack, dime, Baltolo. ¿Habrá otra por aquí? Creo que no. Hay un que quiero que hagas, ¿vale? ¿Lo puedo hacer ahora? Que estáis jugando a Isaac, ahí estamos, tío. Tío, pues muchísimas gracias, Seco, por la raid, tío. Puto amo. En el pasillo de la puerta 417 cierra las puertas de ambos lados. En el pasillo de la puerta 417. Ah, este.
Stanley took the bucket with him into this little hallway and closed the doors. This was their hideout. No one would ever find them here. Of course, no one would ever find them anyway because everyone was missing. But Stanley chose to ignore this fact and instead focus on how cool the hideout was.
Eco, gracias, Teo.
Two renegade heroes against the world inside their secret, undetectable hideout. Here, next to room 417.
Pues aquí estamos,
What a
tío.
treat.
Pues aquí de chill, ¿eh? A ver, supongo que ya tendré que salir, ¿no? Tío, qué guay. Te cierras ahí a tomar por el culo. A ver. ¿Qué tal, Johan? ¿Cómo estás, tío?
Ah, no, apparently not.
Ya está. Me gustó. Buen easter egg.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
¿Y si voy por la derecha?
This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
Con
But
el
Stanley
bucket.
had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct?
Tenía
Was this
razón el
better than the
balde.
meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Yo quiero ir por ahí, tío. Es que si no voy a hacer el mismo final que antes. Venga, vamos a ir por aquí ahora.
And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
No. Ya, llevo el balde, eso es verdad. Pero bueno, por variar un poco.
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
¿Qué cojones?
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before.
Deja mi
Yes, I
bucket.
know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it.
Pasas
Don't you
demasiado
want
tiempo
another
con él.
story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes.
El camión.
That's what the fans want. Let's do it.
O sea, la intervención me la hace un puto, no sé, tío, un hormiguero, no sé qué cojones es eso. El ordenador, un maniquí en bolas y un cartón de bebé, tío. Y una planta. ¿Oh? ¿Puedo hacer el broom closet aquí? No, no creo que pueda. No sé qué es esto, tío. Es un paja, es la casa de un pajarito, tío. Afilador de lápices. Es para meter la verga ahí, tío.
Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music
La
as
línea
well.
TM. ¡Oh! ¡Wow! Pues vamos a seguir la línea. Tío. Banjo Tooie, chaval. ¿A dónde me llevará la línea?
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
¿Qué?
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
¿A qué? No, no, al bucket no voy a renunciar, ¿eh? ¿Qué tal, Coffee? ¿Qué otro juego es este, tío? Es una puta pasada, tío. Tienes que jugarte este juego y cuanto menos sepas del juego, mejor. Estoy quedado porque estoy intentando pensar si no es un juego de terror o sí. Wait for it. Quédate pensándolo un rato. Quédate pensándolo un rato, tío. El propio juego te responderá a la vez y no al mismo tiempo. O sea, sí y no al mismo tiempo te va a responder. Pues yo me quedo el puto cubo, me la suda. Yo me quedo el puto cubo, tío.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket.
No.
That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character.
Un nuevo personaje.
Is the Bucket Destroyer.
No. No, 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 no.
I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me
Yo no quiero matar el
it
balde,
feels as though it's been part of the cast all along.
La cubeta se queda, chavales. La cubeta se queda.
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead
No,
now,
no, no, no,
Stanley.
no.
Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Free balde, chavales.
Now
Free
listen to
balde.
me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket.
Que no,
I don't
tío.
know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with
Que no me he separado del colega, tío.
It's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it.
Que no, bro, que se queda.
Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that
Ay.
damn bucket. Quickly
Hostia.
now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and.
A tomar por culo. El balde se queda, tío. Oh.
The Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous
fue a la verga,
things with
tío.
you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend.
Adiós al destructor de
For the
baldes,
moment
tío.
in time that you were here, you
No, es que el
were
balde se queda, tío.
magnificent.
El balde se queda hasta el puto final. El balde se queda hasta el puto final, tío. ¿Y ahora qué? Vale, ahora todo blanco. Perfecto, hemos salvado el balde, tío. Nice. Vale, final de salvar el balde, tío.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Whoa.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
I'm waiting
missed a
for
memo.
input.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Aquí está el balde.
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Ah, vale, voy a hacer el final de la ventana. Vale. ¿Dónde era? ¿Era aquí o era más atrás? ¿Esto siempre lo cierran? Esto siempre lo cierran, a tomar por culo. Lo hacemos después. Aunque en teoría no lo cierran. Es verdad, ¿por qué me cerraron? En teoría no deberían cerrarlo. Vale, vamos a hacer la escapada ahora,
Stanley
creo.
touched the bucket tightly to his chest.
Igual por coger el cubo,
entered
puede
the
ser.
door on his left.
Igual no puedes hacerlo con el cubo. Qué raro de cojones, tío. ¿Puedes escaparme por otro lado? No. Ah, vamos a hacer la escapada. O igual no. ¡Acabó el final! No acabó, tío. Claro, es que no acabó. Trust the completionist instinct. Agenda. How can you tell you've spot one? What means? There will be a reward for finding them all. Mission status. A ver. Inside of a sequel exhibit. A large room. Lots of boxes. Stairs. Something to do with stairs. Somewhere both red and blue. Nearby a fireplace. A private but smelly place from important person. Ah, los sitios donde están. Claro. A large room, lots of boxes. Claro, este debe ser donde están las cajas. Stairs, something to do with stairs. Claro, aquí es donde están todos, tío. Todas las figuritas. Somewhere both red and blue. En algún lugar donde ambos red and blue, tío. Both red and blue. A saber. Is this some kind of game? There must be a point to this. Escaleras, vale. Sí que hay. There will be a reward. Sí que hay un reward, tío. Si es fresco el juego, claro, es que no lo tengo fresco, tío. Vale.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now.
Por ahora prefiero no saberlo. El de
That's
rojo y
what the broom
azul.
closet is trying to say
A ver si
here.
lo encuentro.
It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over
No
the
entregues
bucket.
el balde, no.
I
No
know
lo
how
entrego.
hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong.
No.
This is your bucket.
No se
This
puede,
is your
Kofi.
companion
Bueno, que yo sepa,
and
vaya.
lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom
Por lo
closet
general en
has
este
sunk
juego no
that it
puedes
has to
interactuar
resort to
con
this
nada,
stream of
excepto
petty
puertas y
insults
botones.
simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall
Hey,
to
Kana, ¿qué
imply
tal?
that
Sí,
you
estamos
and the
con el
are not
bucket.
truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and
Sí,
convenient?
sí, el original
That
me lo
your
jugué.
life is so
Hace,
banal and
en plan, cuando
meaningless
salió.
that you'd feel the same sort
En
of kinship
2014.
towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path
Pero hay
in
cosas
an
que no me
even
acuerdo.
partially enticing manner? Well, I've never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
Okay.
I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go.
¡Oh!
There. Now it's settled. No more
Propiedad de
debate,
Stanley.
no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Ok. Estaría guapo que el narrador se enfadase porque dejas
All
el
right,
cubo pero
I've
lo
got a
vuelves a
second
coger. En teoría no
sticker
puedes
back here, and
soltarlo.
I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate.
Vale.
See? I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can
Por
look
si
down at
acaso,
the sticker
¿sabes?
and say to yourself, "Ah, it's a bucket." There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
Ajá. ¿Y me das más? Dame más.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Voy a bajar ahora. Vamos, bucket. ¡Wow! Escaleras, es la de las escaleras
Back
esta.
to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What
Perfecto.
name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by one? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Nice. Vale, nos falta el de rojo y azul y el de las cajas, teóricamente.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket.
A la mierda el bucket.
Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong.
Y esta es una zona
Surely
infinita.
no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the
Hey, mi bucket?
psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which
¿Y
was
mi
of
bucket,
course,
tío?
very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious.
No era mío, pero yo lo quería,
Without
tío.
my bucket,
Ahora
I've
estoy volando.
gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him. Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Bucket.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one
Aquí.
bucket after the next.
Hay muchos.
None of them were his. None of them
¿Cuál es
were
el mío?
his special bucket.
El de la pegatina.
Come to me, Stanley.
El de la pegatina, tío.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his
40.
old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along.
Me jodas, tío.
It was incredibly painful.
Nos quedamos sin bucket.
Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
A tomar por culo.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Ah. Y aquí encontraba... A ver.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work.
Aquí es, de esto me acuerdo.
But on
Y
this
tiene el
particular
bucket.
day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then
Estábamos
collapsed
locos,
dead on the
tío.
sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course, he'd gone mad, ranting
Claro.
and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his
Exacto.
bucket with him.
Nos volvimos locos en
Perhaps
cuanto
he
nos
didn't
quitaron el
even
bucket,
realize
tío.
He'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Es que en teoría no era nuestro, entonces no sé. Nos lo quitaron simplemente. Y nos volvimos locos porque ya no teníamos bucket. ¿Vale?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't
No voy a
find
hacer
a
eso aún,
trace of his co-workers.
Dale al input. Es que no es aquí, tengo que darle a otro, creo. Oh, sí, le di. Input to receive, ya está. Joder, no, es que no me dejaba,
Stanley
te
went
lo juro.
around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference.
Ay, mira el hormiguero.
Nor did it advance the story in any way.
¡Ojo! Coffee, gracias, tío. Enorme. Bienvenido al canal, tío. Gracias por el follow. ¿Y el bucket? Ah, ya no había bucket ahí atrás, ¿no? No me fijé, la verdad. No lo pillé, me cago en la puta. Pues yo quiero volver, tío. Pues hago el de matarme y ya está. Hago el de matarme que es rápido. O recuerdo que era rápido. Era por otro lado, me cago en la puta. Y puedo... ¡Eh! ¿Cojones? ¿Y lo puedes seguir haciendo esto? Pues vamos a buscar esto, tío. Hostia, tío. Sí, sigue siendo el 2, tío. Sigue siendo el puto 2.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Voy a subir. Esto antes no se podía abrir. ¿O sí? Al menos así manualmente no. Un final un poco oculto. Vale. Esto se puede abrir siempre. Es que a mí me suena que había una forma en la que engañabas al juego y salías para atrás en cuanto esto se iba a cerrar o algo así. ¿Es eso a lo que te refieres? Algo así me suena, tío. ¿No? Sí, es que esa movida... No sé exactamente cómo se hacía, pero sé que se podía hacer. Ojo. Shanks, eso es muy importante. Si quieres decírmelo o darme pistas para conseguirlo, me cunde. A ver, vamos por aquí. Es fácil. A ver, sí, venga, dejo que me lo digas. La sala donde enciendes las cámaras. Sí. Lo descubres del control mental, sí. Puedes subir y tirarte al vacío. ¡Oh! Vale, pues luego igual lo pruebo. O lo pruebo ahora. Es que ahora tengo curiosidad de saber qué es esto. ¿Esto por qué brilla tanto? A ver. A ver. ¡Oh! Ah, este ascensor no había nada. Ahora se abría y era puto nada, creo. Me suena. Esto era puto nada, tío. Ah, era un bug.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What
Voy a hacerlo
could
del
it
8.
mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation.
Ahí está.
But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk.
Ya me saltó.
What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra... Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator
Exacto.
talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy. So he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
¡Qué cabrón! Pues nada, un poco de New Age ahí, tío. Bueno, vale ya, ¿no, amigo?
Feeling
Amigo.
soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley
Cabrón.
calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
No sé cómo era la movida de aquí, tío. Creo que era cuando entrabas así y rápido tienes que ir para atrás o algo así. No me acuerdo exactamente cómo era. Sí, al entrar creo que tienes que volver para atrás rápido. Eso me acordaba, porque recuerdo que lo estuve como intentando varias veces en su momento. Vamos a hacer el final ese que dijiste tú.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Vale. Aquí, ¿no? Hacia abajo es, ¿verdad?
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television
Donde descubres el
screens.
control mental,
What
puedes subirte al
horrible
PC que tiene el
secret did
botón y
this
tirarte al
place
vacío.
hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength
¿Aquí?
to find out?
Adiós. A tomar por culo.
You've made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. Welcome. You see, back when the Stanley Parable first launched in 2013, getting to the bottom of the mind control facility was a bug that we simply didn't catch during development. And you all sent us lots of photos of it on Twitter and acted very superior about it. And you're all very, very clever. Good for you. Anyway, when it came time to update the game, we knew that we had to do something about this little goof of ours. So here you go. New content. You can call it the bottom of the mind control room ending, if that enhances your perception of the value of these updates. Isn't that what you crave? New content? Always more content, more, more. And I'm here to give it to you. I'm here to make it seem like we really covered every nook and cranny of the game with secrets and Easter eggs. How about this? We wrote a new piece of music just for this section. You won't hear it anywhere else in the game. It's a secret that's just for you. That's how special you are. We call this track, Good Job You've Made It to the Bottom of the Mind Control Facility. Well done.
Que suene.
Good job, you did it. Good job. 3, 2, 1. Good job, you made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. You jumped on the catwalk. You should have been careful. You should have been careful. It used to be a bug, but now it's an ending. Now it's an ending. I believe in you.
Tío, tengo que poner esto en un concurso de música.
Cross this barrier, chase your dreams. Railings don't mean anything. Good job, you did it. 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 Good job, you did it.
Temazo, tío.
You did it. Good job, you did it. Good job, you did it. Good job, you did it.
Ahí está, bro. Muy bien. Yo. Input receipt. Este final, ya me acuerdo de esto, tío. Esto es una fumada. De esto fue el último final que hice yo cuando me pasé el juego, tío, en su momento. Tendré que apagar todos, tío, ya ni me acuerdo, tío. Me acuerdo que podías interactuar con ellos. Ah, se van encendiendo. Rojo y azul, tío. ¿Le daré los rojos y los azules? Y el botón que dice tu nombre, ¿te imaginas? Me voy a apagar todos. Yo creo que tienes que apagar todos, tío. Porque se van encendiendo, tío. Es que ni me acuerdo qué había que hacer, tío. No me puedo dar a ese. Ah, hay que acertar con algunos concretos, ¿no? Ahí no. Nada, nevermind. Si no, esto es simplemente pulsarlos y a tomar por culo. Tío, no puedo hacer nada de verdad aquí. Es que tengo miedo que si le doy a empezar de cero me quitará la secuela, tío. No creo, ¿no? No pasa nada, ¿no? Vale, pues vamos a empezar de cero. Ahora salen los botones de nuevo, ¿te imaginas? Buah, ¿lo hacemos con el bucket o qué?
All of his co-workers were gone.
A tomar por culo.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Mi bucket.
Warmth
Bien.
spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Bien. Voy a hacer este
Stanley
final.
clung the
¿Os
bucket
parece
to his
bien?
cheek. Could his co-workers really all be gone? Yes, whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear.
We've done it. We've escaped from that dark office and that pesky narrator. At last, out here in the white void, we are alone. Now, and for the first time, I can reveal to you my true self.
The bucket began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating
Yo
the
quise
land
hacerlo
and
casi de
lives of
primero
untold
también,
numbers
Cana.
of innocent humans, and the bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only it had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to
Por cierto, tíos, creo que voy a hacer este final y lo dejaré porque llevo ya más de 3 horas, pero mañana por la tarde volveré a darle, ¿vale? Al juego.
manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps, if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This
Oh,
was
no estás
way
mañana,
too much
F,
for
Baltolo.
Stanley.
What are you talking about?
Si no es mañana es domingo, uno de los
You're
2 días. A lo mejor...
bucket.
Espera, para un momento. Si, dije mañana por decir, pero a lo mejor si veo qué tal, a lo mejor lo hago el domingo así. O mañana o domingo. Uno de los 2 días descansaré, aún no sé cuál.
To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
No,
Said the bucket.
not since the evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults. I was young back then and could not conceive the ramifications of... No!
Stanley screamed even louder this time.
This is stupid! You are a bucket! This is so stupid! Why are we even doing this?
As Stanley screamed and screamed and screamed, the bucket revealed its true
A ver.
form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like...
What?
My God, Stanley!
No!
You did it! You saved us from the bucket! Thank
No!
God you already had all 12 emblems of sages and knew the incantations
Los 12
to
emblemas de
summon
los
their true
sabios.
power. Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the bucket's power, I'm speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today. Come, let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.
Pues a tomar por el culo, tío. El ending de Funeral Bucket, tío. Pues nada. Vale, tíos. Creo que lo dejaré aquí por hoy, ¿vale? Mañana, yo lo que os decía, mañana o domingo le daremos más por la tarde. Aún no sé cuándo. Cuando me vea con tiempo. Intentaré avisarlo por Twitter de todas formas. Pero eso será o mañana o domingo. Puede que mañana, puede que domingo. No lo sé aún a ciencia cierta. E Inscription le volveremos a dar, supongo que el lunes. El lunes le daré Inscription, que quiero intentar hacerlo de todos los retos del Casey's Mod. Que ahora que ya nos lo pasamos, quiero a ver si lo logramos. ¿Vale? Y nada, y dentro del mes que viene, a principios, empezamos el Ace Attorney. Y a corto plazo eso, más o menos. Haré Isaac algún día también así suelto. Y esas cosas. Y esto, bueno, nos lo acabaremos. Jugaremos un par de días más a esto, imagino. Inscription le daremos también. Y Ace Attorney dentro de unas semanas. Vale, tíos. Let's go. Stanley Parole. Tío, qué guay. Me mola mucho eso, ¿eh? Ahí el escritorio. Ahí está. Un día más como mucho, ok. O menos. Vale, pues eso. Le daremos mañana. O este fin de vaya. Este fin de